A Thargon, by itself, is a weak and vulnerable entity, but when massed into the swarm that accompanies the Thargoid interceptor, the Thargon is perhaps the most threatening aspect of anti-Xeno combat. In this video, we will look at the capabilities of the Thargon Swarm, how they vary between interceptor types, and the countermeasures we can employ as AX pilots to defeat them. The Thargon Swarm is deployed by a Thargoid interceptor at the start of any combat engagement, and will deploy a new swarm for each heart lost, assuming the previous swarm has been eliminated. The interceptor will also deploy a new swarm immediately upon the destruction of the existing swarm if it has entered its enraged state. While active, the swarm has three modes of behaviour: pursuit, projectile attack, and missile attack. The missile attack being a special and extremely destructive threat. When outside of around 3.5 km range, the swarm is in pursuit mode. It will fly in a straight line towards you in one of its normal formations. When entering within 3.5 km, the swarm will enter its projectile attack mode and begin to maneuver more erratically, though not yet begin its caustic projectile attack. Between 2 km and 1.5 km away, the swarm will begin to fire caustic projectiles at their target. These slow-moving projectiles offer almost no threat to all shieldless builds, but if your ship has a shield, then caustic phasing damage will be received through your shield. If the swarm passes over your ship at any point, they are toggled into their missile attack state. In this state, the swarm is at its most dangerous. The swarm formation will change from its normal configuration to a missile configuration every 30 seconds. During this time, if your ship is within 3 km of the swarm, individual Thargons will transform into fast-moving suicide missiles. These missiles travel at 600 meters a second and are devastating to shieldless builds, being able to quickly destroy external modules like weapons if struck. Shielded builds can withstand an attack if 4 pips are placed in systems, but it is a very good idea not to allow the swarm to pass over you during an engagement. Swarm size is determined by the interceptor type that created it. Cyclops has 32 Thargons. Here, we can see them in a normal ball-like formation. And here we see their missile formation, a small spiral that spins energetically. Basilisk have 64 Thargons in a swarm. Here we see them in a normal cone formation. And here we see them in their spiral missile formation. Medusa have a swarm of 96 Thargons and display a number of normal formations. The most common is this ring. Their missile formation can be either a spiral or a much larger and thinner ring, known as the Ring of Death. And finally, the Hydra have a swarm of 128 Thargons. Again, they have several normal formations, but like Medusa, a ring is very common, with a larger and thinner ring being one of their most recognisable missile formations too. The only weapon available to human commanders that is effective at destroying the Thargon Swarm is the remote release Flak launcher. This explosive weapon requires the trigger to be held down when firing until a visual and audible range indicator has confirmed the correct range. At this point the trigger is released and the munition explodes, shredding nearby Thargons with Flak. If you are facing only one Thargoid interceptor, it is extremely advisable to destroy the swarm outright before an attacking run. The most common strategy is to boost up to top speed away from the interceptor with flight assist turned off. Then, when at a safe range, flip the ship over so you are reversing away at full speed, and engage the swarm with your remote Flak launcher. With flight assist turned off, you will continue moving in the same direction even when your ship is backwards. If the swarm gets too close, simply flip back around and boost away again. Or if you're facing a basilisk and it is catching up to you, boost past the interceptor with silent running or heatsink cover, and when at a safe distance, flip into reverse again. With practice, you can become very fast at eliminating the swarm. In large multi-goid fights where most of the interceptors will be enraged for the entire fight, you should not destroy the swarms completely, as this will simply cause new swarms to be created. Instead, use Flak to thin the swarm down to just a few Thargons, the idea being to reduce them to a number that you could survive in the event of a full barrage of suicide missiles. The same applies if the interceptor is enraged in a one-on-one fight. If the swarm flies through your ship, it will enter the missile state. This can be seen visually, or indicated by the sounds the swarm make as they make their pass over your ship. If this happens, you have a few options to return the swarm to its normal state. First is to simply destroy the swarm. A new swarm will be created, but it will be in normal state. The second option is to bait the swarm to fire off missiles, and then fly through them to deliberately reset them. This is the favoured approach in flakless builds. To accomplish this, boost into reverse keys if you are going to engage the swarm normally, then edge back into 3 km range. Once the missiles are inbound, increase your reverse speed or boost away. After the missiles are finished, boost up through the swarm using silent running or heatsinks to avoid fire from the interceptor. When enraged, the entire swarm will become suicide missiles, and so you won't need to manually reset them yourself after baiting them. If you see a missile warning during an attacking run, you may still be able to avoid taking hits by boosting immediately away from the swarm. This depends a lot on the speed of your ship and the distance to the swarm, but with conditioning you can react quickly and often avoid taking substantial damage this way. It's a good idea to keep track on the radar of the approximate position of the swarm as the fight goes on. I hope the information in this video has been helpful, and I wish you every success in dealing with the Thargon swarms yourself in the fight against the Thargoids. Fly safe, Commanders.